Hey, so Gavin, one of the questions that it's hard for businesses to answer is how much does it cost? You're in a shop and you're looking at something, you pick up a product, you want to know how much that product is. And I think the
Yeah,
same
and
is,
in most cases, the price is on the product.
yeah, and the same is true with software. When you're talking to a
Yep.
software company, as a retailer, you want to say, well, how much is your software going to cost?
Mm.
And if a POS company can't answer that question, that becomes a bit of a barrier to you thinking about the company.
Well, I know for when I'm looking at software for various things that we use software for, the first thing I'm looking for is what's the price. I need to know whether it's in our budget or not. So that's the first thing I'm looking for is what's the price. And sometimes it's not easy to find that.
And so for the person who then says to you, well, tell me your budget. Well, I'm not going to tell you my budget. I just want to know how much it costs.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and I think transparency is pretty important. And so, from our point of view, for years now, we've been a very transparent company on price. So if we go to our website, we have a pricing tab, which I'll share on the screen now. And with this pricing tab, um, it just shows our monthly pricing options. And we've
Hmm.
got standard, advanced, and ultimate. And we have our rental figures there. You've got rental for people who are paying monthly. You've got rental for people who want to pay the equivalent of monthly figure but pay it annually. So there's a bit of a saving there for them. Now, we've got these three levels. We don't have anything beyond those three levels, do we?
No, that's it.
So if we look down the list, the key thing we start with, we don't have transaction fees.
Nope, not all your EFTPOS fees and stuff not taxed by us in any way, shape, or form.
And you say taxed because it is like a tax, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Some POS companies will say, oh, well, you've got to pay us 2% of all your revenue on top
Yep.
of your software rental figure, which we don't do.
Exactly.
Integrated FPOS is in all of them.
Hmm.
No limit on products, no limit on customers, no limit on turnover.
And you'll see that in some systems that they'll have, you'll only have be able to have 2,000 products, or you'll only be
Right.
able to have, 100 customers or something like that. So,
And I should say, on these prices, I can have as many terminals as I want in a location, and it's still just this one price for across the board.
correct,
So I
correct.
could have a one register shop and pay $220, or I could have a 10 register shop and pay $220.
That's exactly right. Yep. So you don't have to think about, oh, it's going to be another, 50 or $60 to add a new terminal for that period. So it's just the same price. So if
So
you
if we
want to
look,
add something when you get busier, you can add it when you get busier.
and it doesn't cost you any extra. If we
That's
look down
correct.
this list across the three, standard, advanced, and ultimate, they've all got Shopify and WooCommerce links. They've got catalogs. They've got lay-by management, sell by fractions, gift cards, vouchers. Then we get to quotes and pro formas. Now, our standard level doesn't have quotes and pro formas. Why have we put that in the other two?
Because that's quotes and pro formas is something a more complex business would use. So that's why it goes into the standard and advanced packages, because quotes and pro formas is something that traditionally a more complex business would actually perform rather
Yep.
than a simpler business.
They've all got delivery dockets and picking slips. Recurring billing is another thing that we're put into the two kind of slightly more expensive packages. Recurring billing is kind of like subscriptions and things like that, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's the stuff that you want to bill people on a recurring basis for. So
Okay. Same with tax and duty-free sales, but scale integration is across the board, discount vouchers are across the board, customer displays. So much is across the board with all of them here. Even with accounting, we've got zero integration. It's there. Advanced reporting, email, marketing tools, the insights dashboard, which tells you what's working and what's not working in the business.
mhm.
I mean, this is quite considerable across all of those. And then we get down here, you've got this thing called barcode lookup.
Mm.
Now, barcode lookup's in all of them, but if I'm not aware of what I would say, well, everybody's going to have barcode lookup, but that's not what this is it?
No, no. So this is a specific product that we link to that's got a database. I think the last time I looked, it was at 1.4 billion stock items. So that will allow you to connect to that. So if you're adding a stock item, it's going to be able to check the barcode and download the information if it exists on that 1.4 billion stock item database. So makes
Amazing.
it really quick to add an item, adds images, descriptions, everything you could possibly need.
And helps me be consistent in terms of how I describe things.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Serial numbers, I don't have serial numbers in standard, but serial numbers is a pretty sophisticated tool for me tracking the sale of individual items that have their own serial number.
Yep.
Freight invoice management, that's over there in the ultimate package. This is something what that garden centers and landscapers and
Yeah, so this is
businesses.
something specific for those businesses where what they'll do is they'll buy, four or five different invoices, and that usually they're in a remote location, and then they'll hire a separate delivery company to deliver the stock for those four or five different invoices. So then it's about attributing the cost of the truck that they've hired to make that delivery, for
Yep.
instance, across those five or six different invoices from different suppliers. So
Okay.
again, it's a pretty complex feature that only some businesses would use, and the more complex businesses.
Yeah. We've got manufactured goods and hampers with all the levels have got access to that. That's also a complex tool because that's where I can buy things in bulk and create my own, for example, feed mix
Yeah, yeah, yep,
from a
yep.
pet
You can
store.
do that, or you could even do it for creating a hamper for at Christmas time for,
Yeah.
or at Father's Day for a dad's hamper or something like that.
Dispatch management is another one of those things we've put in Ultimate because that's quite a complex set of dispatch management tools.
Yeah, exactly. That's about managing your deliveries for particular stock items. So if you've got 10 deliveries you've got to make, it'll allow you to plot those deliveries on a map, plan the correct route, print delivering lists, and manage the different trucks that those can go on. So you can have multiple trucks and so forth. So that's,
Yeah.
yeah, a fairly complex feature.
Repairs and job management is going to be more about jewelers and bike shops and those who are actually offering repairs facilities. So we
Yep.
have that in Advanced and Ultimate. Same with the news agency tools. They're very specific to that particular retail channel. That's in Advanced and Ultimate. Valuations is a jeweler type thing. That's in Advanced and Ultimate. But then we get to the resources we have, and they're available for everybody. That's 24/7 support, onboarding specialist, customized onboarding. You've got your e-learning tools and a whole
And
bunch of
what
others.
you'll see with some POS systems is that, say, phone support, for instance, won't be available in your base packages. You have to go up to the very high levels before you can get, or even pay extra on top
Right.
to get telephone support. But with us, it's always included.
Yep. And the same with, we've got 24/7 access to our chatbot, which is just an awesome tool,
Yeah.
answering complex questions and doing really, really well. We have a few extras for people who want them, like, if you want cloud hosting, you've got a cloud hosting price. If you want our completely portable roam solution, which is a portable POS solution, that's a different price. You've got your self-checkout kiosk, and you've got cloud backup. So we have those as options there. But if we come back to this, it really is just these three price points for standard, advanced, and ultimate.
That's right. Yep, that's it. Just the 3 points, and you have the flexibility to pay it annually and save a little bit, or to pay it monthly.
Yep. And so on that, just talking about the kind of the detail a little bit, if somebody is renting the software and let's say they've been using it for the last 2 months and they say, you know what, it's not right for me. I don't want to keep paying for it. I'm not locked in. There's no lock-in contract.
No, no, not at all. Just cancel the rental and it's done.
Yep. So when you talk to other POS software companies, and I know you do that from time to time, and you say, well, look, we don't have a lock-in contract, and our pricing is public. I wonder if you get the same reaction that I get because I was talking to
They
someone.
fall off their chair.
Yeah, well, this guy the other day he said, I can't believe that your pricing is public like that, and I said, well, we've got nothing to hide.
Yeah, exactly. And for us, it's a not having the pricing visible is a barrier to entry. So we want to remove that barrier. We want them to be able to see what it's going to cost, and therefore they know whether we're in their budget or not. So,
Yeah. And look, we're very proud of the functionality and the support we deliver for that pricing too.
oh,
So it's
absolutely.
good
Yep,
value.
definitely.
All right. Thank you.
No worries.